Happy Thursday, everybody. What's going on? Happy Cinco de Mayo tomorrow, everyone. Why not have a Cinco squad show tonight before Cinco de Mayo?
Why not?
Happy Thursday, everybody. We have NBA, we have NHL, we have MLB, and we had last week's draft. We promise there's no thunderstorms going to blow over our camera set this time.
May the
4th be with you. If I had a robe, I would have worn it.
Yes. It took me a while to figure out what that was for a while because I'd never seen Star Wars. But how's your Thursdays going, guys? Jamie, I know you've been busy this week.
Splendito.
Good. Mike?
Yeah, no, it's been going well. As we said, significantly drier than last Thursday, but there's going to be just as much fun here on Cinco Squad.
Cinco Squad, episode 57, everyone. As you can see, I'm pleasantly lit up. Our lights are working still, so no thunderstorms tonight.
That's why your quality is so. I'm like, man, your picture quality is great. You're using your lights.
Putting those lights to work, right? So, it's been a good week of playoff sports. I mean, hockey's been excellent. I think we got some great matchups in the NHL. NBA is looking like it's gonna have a few series that may go Game 7, but I think we should throw it over to Mike and say, Mike, what's in your cup?
Well, see, so much pressure. It's my segment now. It's weird.
Doesn't have it.
No. I actually don't have a cup. I don't have a physical cup today.
He has a bouteille.
I have a can, and that is a can of Mike's.
Segment's over. No, sure.
Black cherry. Mike's Harder Black Cherry.
You needed one after a long Monday flying back to New York.
That is
so long.
That's actually really good. That is a saga in and of itself. That's a whole story.
Well, we got time, so why don't you tell it to everybody?
So, yes, everybody, little background, a little behind the scenes as to how things went. So I was, as everybody has seen now, and we appreciate your support for it, we were on location, remote at Maloney's last week. Come hell or high water, rainstorm or snow or sunshine, although snow in Florida would be weird. So I'd flown down to Miami, and my flight was scheduled to depart Miami on Monday, May 1st, this past Monday, at 10:30. Well, at 4 a.m., whilst laying on a massive air mattress in John's living room, I got an email from JetBlue saying,
better than the couch.
No, it was a great air mattress. I slept wonderfully. I apparently slept so hard that John heard me in his room snoring. So,
Splendito.
I like that. Is that the Cinco Squad word of the day? So at 4 a.m., I get an email, and I always usually sleep with my phone near me, just in case notifications, anything emergency or anything. And so I get an email from JetBlue that says your flight has been delayed. At first, all I saw was the subject line, which was, updated flight information. I'm like, oh, okay, they're just letting me know, like, when my plane's. But then I saw in the subject, before it was cut off in the notification, the letter D. And I'm like, I know what that means. So I would go and look at it. It's been delayed from 10:30 to 1:15 in the afternoon. Yeah, don't.
Slight
delay. In this case, it means delay. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, damn. So, but they say be there at your normal time. So John graciously takes me to the airport. I get there in my normal time. So at about 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'm there. My bag's checked. I'm through TSA, and I'm sitting at the gate. So I'm like, okay, in here for the long haul. I'll do some, podcast stuff, watch some videos, maybe watch a movie, whatever. I'll wait. Throughout the morning, I continue to get notifications delayed to 1:30, 1:45. Finally, the plane departs at 2. However, my connection flight is at 4:30 at JFK in New York City.
That ain't
I'm not making it.
Mm-hmm.
I missed my initial connection flight by 20 minutes.
No,
because it was delayed too.
So we were stuck in JFK till 11:13. Didn't get home till 12:30 at night. And so that was a hell of a day, Mike.
Yeah, because it was supposed to leave at I was then on the 10 o'clock flight, which then got delayed to 10:30, which then got delayed to 11:15. So, and I was up for work by 8 o'clock. So, It was a long night that turned into a short morning.
People that have that type of
Thankfully, they finally got you home safe.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go into work. You have to go roll over to your desk in your living room to go to work. So you are very fortunate in that aspect.
But thankfully, yes.
Little update here. We got the tip off coming up for Golden State and LA. Golden State trying not to go down 2-0. But the Panthers are up 3-2 going into the third. Can they steal both on the road to start the series? I mean, we know Toronto normally
Panthers are gritty.
Aren't you guys just expecting a second round collapse? It's almost like they won the Stanley Cup by getting out the first round, wasn't it?
Pretty much. I can tell you, stealing the first 2 games of a series on the road doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because his Rangers lost in 7 on Monday night. Don't forget that. You forgot that whole point.
Yeah, no. It was just a bad Monday.
He got to watch the New York Rangers. I told him he should have just taken a night in New York and gone to the Devils Rangers game. Said, screw it. Mm-hmm. You work remote. You had your laptop with you. Yep. Didn't matter where you worked. So you should have just taken.
You really think you wanted to be at that game? You really think you wanted to be at that game? Knowing
in hindsight,
with all the fights and everything. All right. Well, we'll get to the hockey talk here in a little bit. We got to get to Jay's. We're 2 weeks without Jay's bets of the week. So let's start over to Jay for Jay's bets of the week.
Yes, sir. So welcome back to the winner's circle. Ladies and gentlemen, we are definitely trying to go 5 for 5 this week. I'm mixing it up this week between NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, and I'm throwing a little baseball in the mix. So let's start off on the hard court. Suns cannot afford to go down 3-0 in this series. I think we're going to see a huge game for Kevin Durant in Game 3. Expect the Suns to cover. They are 4-point favorites right now. Warriors probably are going to claw their way to a win tonight. Somehow I have the feeling that they're going to win 2 in a row. So I'm taking them in Game 3. Not tonight. I'm taking them in Game 3 on the money line. So they will win that game.
On the road?
Then I'm going to go on to the ice air. I do think that the Devils slowed down. I know Carolina skates at a pace like how the Avalanche were last year. I think they spoke about if somehow Carolina could make their way into the championship round, maybe they'll put up the kind of fight that it takes to get to the Stanley Cup, and it would have been probably just melee on the ice between them and the Avalanche. I think the Devils find a way to neutralize them, so I'm going to take the under in Game 2 between the Devils and the Hurricanes. That's under 5.5. I'm going to take the Oilers to win Game 2. This is tomorrow. I'm going to take the Oilers to win Game 2, just because I think that the Stars will come out and shine, and I think they'll claw their way to a victory there. And then your Yankees are in town, gentlemen. Your Yankees are in town this weekend for a 3-game stand. I got the Rays beating the Yankees tomorrow night. I got Drew Rasmussen beating them on Saturday. And thank goodness Mr. Cole is pitching for you guys on Sunday to avoid the sweep. That's the only reason you guys aren't going to get swept this weekend. So I got the Rays over the Yanks in the first game of their 3-game stand this week down here in the Trop. So that's it.
I agree with that one.
We're going 2 basketball, 2 hockey. We're taking the Rays over the Yanks in Game 1 of the 3-game series on Friday night. Wish I could be there. Fortunately, I'll be at a swim meet, but I'm gonna make it to one of these games soon enough. I gotta go watch these. They're playing
Jay, it's like I was telling Mike last week. If we wish the draft was this week, because then I would have been like, oh, we would have hit up
just stay in town and go to a Rays. I would have said,
we were in town that Friday, but we would have went to the Rays. The Rays were on the road, and playing in Chicago. Awesome. So, if they were home, I was gonna go. Mike and I took in a Cubs Marlins game on Sunday, which was really good. We sat like 10 rows off the home plate, which was great. $25 tickets. If you didn't see the rotation that goes every Sunday, so make sure you tune in on that. I was telling Mike that we should have had the draft this week, so we could have went to the Yankees Rays game. But I honestly don't think I would have wanted to go to that game, because I agree with you. I think the Yankees are going to lose this series. I don't think they're going to win a series here in any time soon, because they have a really tough schedule coming up. And
somehow you guys
we have 15 guys on the IL right now, minimal 10. And right now, our star pitcher, Carlos Rodon, is probably not going to come back until probably August or September, which is great that you give a guy $30 million and then he goes on vacation with his family.
Well, don't worry. There's 5 more years for the contract to pay off after this.
So it's really frustrating. But those are Jamie's bets of the week. He is back Make sure you lock those bets in. He was 4-1 in the last couple weeks, so make sure you lock those bets in. We'll throw them up on our socials here afterwards, like we normally do. Gentlemen, we got a lot of good sports going on this weekend. Let me pull up my agenda for the weekend. So we had the NFL draft last weekend at Maloney's, which we appreciate Maloney's and everything that they did for us, and all the family for helping us get inside and everything. So, gentlemen, we will be having Mr. Cinco join us here in just a little bit, and we'll ask him this question here. But which 3 teams did the best in the NFL draft? And how we're going to do this, we're going to go through real quick, rattle it off. 1, 2, 3, and then we'll talk about them after. So we can get through the segment. I know it's a lot of picks, but let's throw it over to Grandpa Jay. Jay, who are the 3 teams you say were the best in the draft this year?
At number 3, by addressing their biggest needs in their first 4 picks, Packers. Number 2, Eagles. Number 1, the Steelers. And bonus consideration to the Giants of New York.
We did all right.
I actually have them like towards the bottom. But Mike, what about you?
At number 3, because I love what they did, and I'll go into it obviously afterwards, the Detroit Lions. Number 2, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And number 1, the Philadelphia Eagles.
You said Steelers?
I said Steelers at number 2, yes. So 3 Lions, 2 Steelers, 1 Eagles.
Cool. Yeah.
John, what do you got?
So I have a little bit different. So I have Cardinals at number 3, Eagles at 2, and Texans at 1.
Wow.
I have the Texans at 1. Steelers are going to be on the outside looking in of the 4th spot, but I feel that all those teams did a great job. So let's dive into it. Jamie, you had the Pack. We all had a common denominator there. We had the Eagles in there. My Birds.
You're welcome.
Doing what they do well over the last 3 years, getting good picks. Addressed a lot of needs, especially with veteran-heavy defensive guys going out. Jamie, I'm interested about your Packers pick. What do you feel about the Packers that they did well?
I feel that they moved up and stole Bill Belichick's prized possession he was hoping to get in the draft, which was Luke Van Ness. A lot of people had him rated as the 2nd best overall edge rusher in the draft and a top 5 player, really, if you assess what his potential is. So I feel for them to steal him pretty, to that midpoint in the first round was incredible. But they addressed their biggest issue, which is their receiving core, and they went with tight end, wide receiver, tight end. And Jaden Reed out of Michigan State is going to be a problem for people looking at some of his film and seeing that this kid is going to make an impact. He's going to be one of those rookie receivers that we've seen for the past 3 years that can instantly have an impact. The biggest mystery, though, is can the signal caller, Mr. Love, get him the ball when he needs to get him the ball? I do think that they got a huge steal in my boy Carrington Valentine out of UK. He just plays with this sort of like chip on his shoulder. He has this incredible energy that he plays with. And I think he might be one of the better 7th round picks that we see. He's going to compete for the job right away. I think if you could win at 7 to me and you address your biggest needs and you take them right there when you should take them at 2, 3, 4, well done to that organization. I think they hit the jackpot on exactly what they needed in their first 4 picks.
Yeah, I mean, coming out of there, I thought that Lucas Van Ness pickup, watching him in the Big Ten over the last couple of years, great pickup there for the defense side of the ball. I think he was definitely an edge rusher. Their defense really needed help. Towards the end of the season, they really the secondary really evolved, but I think their front 7 is where they needed to address, and I think they did a good job. So that's a sneaky good pick right there for the Packers. I also agree with the tight ends. You need a good tight end, especially with those 2 running backs. You got Aaron Jones. That's going to be Jordan Love's crutch, is to hand the ball off and not be the guy to do everything right away. I feel like when they put him in, they were like, go be Aaron Rodgers. And you can't be Aaron Rodgers. He's never going to be Aaron Rodgers, right? Aaron Rodgers is probably top 10 quarterback of all time. He's got all the stats and everything, and you're asking him to go play that same way. That's not Jordan Love's game, So I feel that I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I like the pick specifically of Luke Musgrave when I was putting together those draft graphics for the Maloney show. I really put a little extra eye on Luke Musgrave. He's such a good athlete, and obviously, everybody out there, I'm not saying he's going to be as good as him, but he can be to Jordan Love what Travis Kelce is to Patrick Mahomes in the sense of an athletic tight end that can almost run like a receiver, can block. Exactly. See, there it is, Luke Musgrave.
Sorry, I had to do it. I love those graphics.
I love them too. I had fun making them. Yeah, so he can be that athletic tight end that Love gets the ball to when in times of need. Like, he can be a go-to target for him on top of the building receiving core. So, yeah, I do like that Packers pick.
You got Tucker Kraft, sneaky pick and Tucker Kraft, 6'5", almost 260. 4'6", really good speed. These kids that you kind of don't really see too much on TV, but they show that they have the game. We know he's going to be a blocker on the edge for Love. That's what they need. They need someone to protect Love and keep him upright. Agreed. So they just made the right moves to make their signal caller stay upright and have a chance to have a confident start to the season. Because we don't want to break his confidence, right? And I think they did the right things, like you mentioned, John. They have a two-headed beast, and in the backfield, and those moves are just great to me. I really like what their organization did. Agreed.
Yeah, and to hit on that point, they got themselves a receiving tight end and then a blocking tight end, like Tucker Kraft out of South Dakota State. So, Mike, interesting pick. I had the Lions at 5 for me too. What made you feel the Lions were the pick?
So obviously they opened up their draft with a bit of a surprise pick, getting Jahmyr Gibbs out of Alabama. Apparently they wanted to move on from DeAndre Swift, who is now a Philadelphia Eagle. Very good pickup for them. Ooh. But I think Gibbs, thinking more on it, I think Gibbs fits what Dan Campbell is trying to do with the offense a little more. But what really put them over the top for me as far as having a great draft was their next 4 picks, where they managed to get Jack Campbell, who's going to be a great inside middle linebacker, defensive leader. I never doubt a Big Ten linebacker because it's just that it's the tough, gritty conference. And coming out of Iowa, I expect him to be a good leader, tough guy. Then they get Sam Laporta, also out of Iowa, at tight end early, and managed to get Brian Branch from Alabama in the middle of the second round, which was not expected going into the draft whatsoever. And then I like the Hendon Hooker pick. I mean, I think you're hoping that Jared Goff. Yes. You're hoping that Jared Goff continues to be what he looked like he can be. Yes. But Hendon Hooker is a very good project quarterback. And
1,000%, Mike. I agree with that. I said that earlier in the.
You guys love that guy.
I don't. It's not that I love Hendon Hooker. I feel like he went to the perfect scenario. But think about it. He went to the perfect situation where he doesn't need to go in and start immediately.
Right.
He will sit behind Dan Campbell's offense. Jared Goff had a great year last year and learned behind him. He doesn't need to. That's why I said it was one of the few places that he should have went to ultimately go develop as a quarterback. And he doesn't need to rush his knee back. How many times do we see a guy rush back on an ACL and then all of a sudden get injured again? It's a great play, and I love that play because it didn't hurt him. It was down the road. I think it was a 3rd or 4th round pick. I think he was, or second round,
3rd round.
Oh, 3rd round because he was the 5th quarterback off the board.
Yes, he was. Yes.
He also got Brian Branch, who had a rating of almost 90 to drop to the 4th.
He was supposed to go into the 1st round.
Why did this kid drop down to the 4th? Did you ever find out why? They got a 1st round talent in the 4th. So I agree. I had Detroit in my top 5, not right there because of their late value. That's a huge value pick.
So and ultimately, Detroit, I feel is going to be a tough team. I think they're going to win that division this year. They're gritty.
Yeah, I see.
They're all coming together at one. Everyone loves to play under that system. And if you love playing under a system and under a coach, there's no telling what you can and can't do, right? I mean, we see it in sports all the time with those underdog teams. Look at the New Jersey Devils this year in hockey. You see the Philadelphia Phillies last year in baseball. It happens. These type of players are, if they love who they're playing for, where they're playing for, they're going to compete. So it's going to be a fun one.
Why you took the West Coast Birds? Why did you take the West Coast Birds at 3?
I love the way the Cardinals strategize their picks. Starting off with Paris Johnson. Paris Johnson, I think, is going to be a great pickup for Kyler Murray. We've been saying it all along. Even though he's big, I still think a smaller quarterback can work in the NFL. It's not that I think that he was scrambling on his own. I think he just didn't have a good offensive line. If you have Paris Johnson blocking his blind side, it works out great. They went after key defensive players like BJ, I'm going to say Ojolari.
Yeah.
Ojolari, Garrett Williams out of Syracuse, baby. Let's go. I watched him play all year. He's a lockdown corner, man. And then, they got him Michael Wilson out of Stanford. He may not make the team. I don't know, especially with that. But, I just feel they did a great job hitting the places that they needed to for their defense and for their offense.
And a sneaky good 6th round pick, by the way, in what was his name?
Yes.
Keitrell Clark out of Louisville.
Yes.
I like the Keitrell Clark out of Louisville pick because he was rated higher than a 6th round pick. So I think they got good value out of that pick.
Yeah. And I'm going to bring in Trey Day. What's going on, Trey? Trey's back on the block.
What's going on, fellas?
The savior of Cinco Squad after the thunderstorm.
Dude, in all seriousness, you locked it down.
I'm cool. I'm good.
He locked it down on the block. And I told everyone,
I guess I'm on my own for a minute here, guys. So let's just talk about where we're at.
But I love it. Don't worry, they'll be back.
It worked out, too, because it was people that he knew, too. And, he was actually researching the day before. We were talking about it the day before.
Also, people didn't know that Nostradamus was in the building.
Oh, yeah, that was crazy.
Deep sources. It's tingling. Yeah.
I was telling everyone that's watching that they don't have to worry about a thunderstorm this weekend blowing the studio out.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're all inside today. Everybody's cool.
Protected. Tornado. So Trey, we're gonna run through your 3 draft picks. 3 teams, and then we'll kind of talk about the one we feel is the most. So who's your 3 teams that did well in the draft this year? I'll run through theirs later, but go ahead.
Yeah, so probably biased opinion, but I'm going to say the Steelers. They had a great draft, in my opinion. They shored up a lot of things. The 2 things I wanted the Steelers to get was a top-notch corner and a top-notch tackle. They handled both things. They got Broderick Jones, one of the better tackles off the board. And then they kept in the family, went and got Joey Porter Jr. So I thought that was a great pickup. On top of that, I like the Darnell Washington pick because you don't really have to ask him to do much because you have fire moves. So
Tower of power, baby.
Now you can have him out there for blocking. If we need to send him in routes, cool. If not, you got fire moves, so you're not asking for that much. And then we still picked up those 2 big fellas from Notre Dame. Or I'm sorry, I'm saying Notre Dame. I'm looking at Mike's hat from Wisconsin. We picked up the 2 big fellas from Wisconsin for the G.
got the ones from Notre Dame.
And
the Darnell. Who's your 2 and 1?
So I would say them. Probably my 2. Actually, some people disagree with it, but I would actually say the Seahawks. Actually, would be my 2. I like a lot with the Seahawks. 6. Yeah, they needed a corner. As was said earlier by Mike in the week. Hopefully for their sake, that's their Richard Sherman. So we'll see if that works out. But they needed to shore up that DB badly. I also like going for Smith and Jigba. That was a great value for a guy who most people project in the top 10 coming into last season. So I did like that pick because Lockett is getting older. So now you have another receiver you can plug in. He can learn from some veterans. Then you'll have him and DK in the long run there. So I really went with that. Also underrated, I like that UCLA running back, Cabernet, the one they got.
Yeah.
You got Kenneth Walker, so you're going to run him. But it's the NFL. You always going to need 2 backs.
Right.
If you go out there 1 back, you're being silly in today's NFL.
Right.
It's almost stupid to go with that. And my other draft team, John, I appreciate this, will actually be the Eagles.
Yep, we all said the Eagles.
Yeah, that's our one consensus.
That's all consensus is 1. So Jamie's was Packers, Eagles, Steelers. Mike's was Lions, Steelers, Eagles. Mine was Cardinals, Eagles, Texans. And yours was Steelers, Seahawks, Eagles. Yeah, I said the Texans and the Cardinals. So for mine as an odd one. I think the Texans did a great job. I don't think either of those 2 teams are championship level right now, but I think they did a good job for their future. But I like your pick with the Seahawks. They were on my list. I was going back and forth, going with their picks.
They were sitting around 5 for me.
I love them picking up Jackson. I think that's great for Lockett, like you said. Plus DK coming off an injury like he was, I think he tore his ACL. Don't have to pressure him to like kind of do everything. You can have a young guy who's motivated to go out there, and it's good for I'm drawing a blank.
Geno Smith?
Yeah. The number 2 quarterback in NFL, right? So
yes, number 2 quarterback after
Mahomes. So when we look at all this, like who made themselves a championship team this year out of the draft?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
That's a great question.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Hold on, John. While we're thinking about this, I'm more intrigued why you took the Texans as your overall best draft because of what they did in round 1.
No, ultimately their picks. Yes, what they did in round 1 with getting Stroud, they got their franchise quarterback out of the way, right? And then they went and got themselves a great linebacker in Will Anderson. He's a game changer. He's NFL ready. I said it all along. But I love the Juicy Scruggs. I'm sorry, I can't read. Nathan Daniel or Dylan Horton. I love those pickups. They went after guys they needed. They got a good center, and especially a Big Ten center coming off. CJ being a Big Ten quarterback, so it could work out well. I just feel I don't think they're championship ready. I think they'll be probably at the top picks next year, but they did a great job for the future to say, hey, we're done being at the bottom of the league. In 3 years, watch out for the Texans. That's why I said that.
Hey, listen, any team that gets Jarrett Patterson center out of the Notre Dame is a good team for me. The Ohio State Buckeyes.
Well, seeing how those 2 videos of the impressions did so freaking well, maybe we should just do a show of impressions.
High five.
Jay and Mike will do their impressions.
Welcome to Impressions with Cinco Squad.
I don't know if Jay could do a whole show in Bo Walton. Could you?
Well, if you ask for it, you should prepare me for it because maybe if I was prepared with some mushrooms from the beginning, I might be good for the whole gentleman. But given that my mind isn't ready for this for an hour long, you got to give me some chance to prepare. Come on, be like my old coach. He said, in order to win, you got to be prepared.
You got to be prepared.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cinco Squad, featuring Trade Day on the Block, fan of the Ohio State Buckeyes. I can't do an entire show and get shots.
Who's your pick? Championship level draft picks.
Are we talking a team that could have already been in title contention but made themselves even better, or one that wasn't in title contention that now could be?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Either way.
Well, in an effort to not praise the Eagles too much as a Giants fan, I'm actually going to say the Lions. I think they filled a lot of roles they needed to fill to move forward. I mean, they already pushed for the playoffs last year. They should have been in. But anyway, they would have been more entertaining in the playoffs last year. But I really think this draft as a whole is going to help them take a step forward with a lot more playmakers. So I'm going to go with the Lions.
Grandpa Jay.
You guys knew how I felt about Myles Murphy. I loved what the Bengals did. I wanted to put the Bengals in there in my top 3. I just thought that the other teams that I had, who was the Packers, Eagles, and Steelers, addressed their needs the best. That's how I kind of graded it. But Cincinnati's already in a position coming off a Super Bowl 2 years ago and then losing in overtime, and I thought a game that they should have had. So they're right there. They're competing with the best team in football year in and year out. They actually have the best record against that team in football, and they improved their squad. Love the Myles Murphy pick. I think that's probably the biggest reason why I'm taking Cincinnati here. But they did a great job late in the draft getting Iacevas and Jones. And I think that their receiving depth is going to be just the standard of the NFL right now. And I think that's what you need in today's NFL to win.
Agreed. Trey?
Okay, so I'm not going to go Eagles. That's an easy cop-out. They were just in the Super Bowl. So a little bit off the radar, actually, I would say the Minnesota Vikings. I know that's a little bit of a different pick. They're probably going to trade Dalvin Cook from what we're hearing. But I actually like the kid McBride, the one they got in the 7th round from UAB. A lot of people had him high on the board as a possible replacement. They still do have Madison there. But what I really like, of course, is them adding Jordan Addison to put opposite of of Jefferson. At this point, Thielen, he was really on his last leg. We're going to keep it real. A lot of people don't want to keep it real there, but Thielen really hasn't been the same. So that is a hell of an upgrade to have on the outside. And then also like Blackman, the corner they got out of USC, because they did need to replace Patrick Peterson, who is getting older. So I liked a lot of what they did there. I don't trust Kirk Cousins. I'm keep it real. I don't. If we're just saying a team that upgraded, who was maybe a playoff team, who I think did get better without going with the conventional easy pick of the Eagles, who were just there, or anybody like that, that's where I would go. I wasn't big on the Giants draft. I see Mike's face in the corner. I'll pray for y'all out there. So we're gonna go with the.
I didn't like y'all first round pick, like where you traded up and you traded away picks to trade up for one pick that was going to be there. I didn't like.
He was going to be there. That's why
he was going to be there regardless. It was kind of like the Eagles a couple years ago.
The strategy didn't make sense, but he can be the best DB out of this draft.
Well, yeah, I mean,
he can end up being the best DB out of this draft.
But you didn't need a trade for him. That's what I'm trying to say.
I get
He's
it.
Going to be there.
But you know how the draft works. It's all bait and switch. So maybe they
gave away way too much, I think, for that.
But Jalen Hyatt in the third round.
Jalen Hyatt in the third round is great. Like, great.
I still don't trust Danny Downs, but we'll save that for another day.
Yeah. We'll save that for football season. my pick right now is the Steelers. They will run away with the AFC North this year, even with Lamar back. I do not trust Odell to last an entire season, and I love the Steelers picks because I think they got themselves what they needed. It's going to be a tough feat through the Bengals, but I see the Steelers coming out of the north.
No chance they run away with it, bro. That is
hold on. Who called the Kraken in 7? That's right. All y'all.
Yeah, now you need to stop sniffing that crack when it comes to the NFL. They ain't running away.
And they won game 1. And
there's some crack on it.
If anyone
if they win the AFC North, Jay, you have
no. If they run away
with it. You didn't say win. You said
run away. Win. I said win.
Will run away with the
division. What does run away even mean? Like, I mean, win.
You're saying they're going to be 13-4, and the Bengals are going to be like 2 or 3.
I think they're going to be 13-4.
There's
13-4. That's what I call the Steelers at.
Well, I hope John Stradamus is right.
John.
No chance.
I try.
I know they say second year is when you see whether the quarterback is going to make his leap. You have that much faith in Pickett?
I like him in an offense, and I love Tomlin. I'm sorry, but I'm a big Tomlin fan. So I trust him and trust his knowledge in the game with the quarterback that he chose. And Najee Harris, I think, is going to have a all-pro year this year.
Yeah, but the Bengals are so good, though.
They got better.
They're good.
They got better.
They're okay.
They're okay.
Yeah, right.
We'll see.
The Bengals are the third best. The Bengals finished last year, you could honestly say, as the third best team in football. Easily.
They're the only team that seemed to be able to consistently beat the Chiefs.
Yeah,
they're fair enough to the Niners, and I won't bring it up to you guys, right? Yeah, they weren't healthy for the title game. So maybe if the Niners play the Bengals, the Niners beat the Bengals. But
look, I'm not okay. I'll be realistic.
Right now.
I'll be realistic. Bengals are going to give the Steelers some games, but that rivalry, I think they're probably going to go 1-1 this year. Steelers going to grab them at home.
Yeah, 1-1 last year. The Steelers still game one in overtime.
So I mean, I just see the Steelers making a huge jump. I don't like anything Baltimore does, even if they got better receivers.
No, Baltimore.
I don't like anything they do because we've seen this before. They grab more receivers, but didn't help the offensive line.
Correct.
So it just doesn't make any sense. And you're never going to tell Lamar stay in the pocket. That's not his mentality. He's got the Cam Newton mentality. I'm going to run. I don't care. I'm a scrambling quarterback. Okay.
The pattern won't change. They'll start 9-2. Lamar get hurt in week 12. They'll drop 4 games in a row. They'll win 3 of their last. They'll lose 3 of their last 4. They'll finish 10-7. They might not make the playoffs. They might make the playoffs. Who knows? It's the same pattern every year.
And
I hope for Lamar's sake it's not.
And then OBJ will be hurt in week 4 or something like that. I don't praise for this, but like it's just a pattern.
It's common.
But all right, to continue some draft talk, we're going to move on here in just a moment. Would you guys rather be picked in the 7th round or go undrafted?
Now, before we get started here, I'd like to just talk about some notable 7th round draft picks in history that may sway you guys on your decision right now. Ryan Fitzmagic, because we know he's Magic, not Patrick. Julian Edelman, Shannon Sharp. You know I just said Shannon Sharp. Donald Driver, Jamal Dirty Bird, Jamal the Dirty Bird Anderson, and Bo Jackson, who was actually taken first in '86 by the Bucks and said, "I am playing for you. You guys are losers." And then the Raiders took him in '87 in the 7th round. So there's some notable 7th round picks, just in case you might want to change your answer. So go ahead. I'll answer last.
All right.
Well, you know what your answer is. But...
Well, I'm gonna say, I feel like undrafted gets a little bit more of a opportunity. I should say, like they get more of an opportunity because I feel like they get signed a little bit quicker. Like they already know who they want. They're like, all right, we're gonna pick you up, just so you know. But there's nothing like being drafted, so I'm going to say 7th round. There's nothing like getting your name called, even though your name's not really getting called, unless it's not Mr. Irrelevant. So that's all I care about. Mike?
I'm going to go undrafted.
Oh, Trey?
Yeah, I'm going undrafted. The reason I'm going undrafted, you have full control. When you're undrafted, you get to choose where you're going. So if I want a certain fit, if I get to look at a certain team and say, okay, that running back is aging, I think I could take his spot. So now I'm in full control of maybe getting right behind that guy who I know I can beat out. Maybe I have a rapport with a certain coach or something like that. I like the way our interviews went. Maybe there's a certain comfortability of a certain city I may want to live in versus another city I wouldn't be comfortable living in. A certain scheme fit, things like that.
Yeah.
Once you got in the 7th round or the undrafted area, it's a toss-up if you're going to make the team anyways. So I may as well control my own destiny. It's like the last time, really, you get to be a free agent in a way. It's like going back to college when you got to pick what school do I want to go to. Now, if I'm, let's say I'm like an Austin Eckler type, and let's say he was drafted to a team that had one of the power back, and they said, all right, we'll figure it out with him. Now, next thing you know, you have to leave because you don't fit the scheme. But if you're, let's say, an Austin Eckler type, you can say, well, you know what? I want to go play with the Chargers. I know I fit perfectly right with this scheme and what they want to do. So I'm all about grabbing shit by the balls and taking your own destiny in your hands. So undrafted.
I can dig
that. Do you actually get to choose, or are you kind of at a team's mercy in that sense, right? Like, do you really get the choice?
You can say no. You're a free agent. You are a free agent.
Yeah. But like, if you say no, like, how many options do you really have, right? That's what I'm trying to make.
Yeah. It depends on the undrafted player, because sometimes I'm not going to speak a certain name, but there was a certain player I played with growing up, and he ended up going undrafted. He went to a Pac-12 school. He went undrafted. He had 4 or 5 teams. He got to choose between the one. And before we knew it, he got to start opening day 2 years later for that team. But he got to choose the team where he thought he could make the depth chart, which gave him a little more control versus going to a team where maybe he gets to, I mean, let's say you hypothetically you get drafted, you play edge, and you get drafted to the Steelers in the 7th round. You're not going to fucking beat TJ Watt out. But if I sit there and I look and I say, well, I'm going to go to this team and this edge rusher, let's say you go to the Eagles and you're playing D tackle, and you're like, you know what, Fletcher Cox is about to retire. Jason Kelsey's going to retire. I'm a center. I can wait a year. I can ball out, learn, maybe get a good mentor and come in versus going to a team where maybe I'm doomed, wherever I go, because look at how many teams get it. You're a quarterback, and let's say you get drafted behind Mahomes. What the fuck am I going to do in the league? I'm behind Mahomes. I'm not going there, but I damn well go sign to the Falcons and say I could beat Desmond Ridder out.
Right.
Yeah. Mike, what you think?
Yep. Trey, I am completely with you for the same thought process. I want to control my own destiny. If I'm a 7th round pick, clearly it's a team that didn't think I was worth 6+ picks before that. So I don't think I'm going to have as good of opportunity. I also want to counter what Grandpa Jay has said with some notable undrafted players. Antonio Gates, Kurt Warner,
basketball player,
Night Train Lane, who holds the single season interception record,
Mm-hmm.
James Harrison, Tony Romo, Adam Vinatieri, Warren Moon, John Randall, and Jason Peters.
Not one of those guys are Hall of Famers. What are you talking about?
I'll let all the Eagles fans know you said that about Jason Peters.
He's good. He's not. You heard play the last 5 years. Goddamn Jason Peters. Playing for the Cowboys now.
To his face.
I'm kind of on the same train as John about if I've sacrificed the last 8 to 10 years of my life, and a lot of that is to know that I am leaving tonight or whatever night the draft is, leaving the last night of the draft, knowing that a team had my back Like, it doesn't matter when you took me. Somebody chose to believe that I have the talent and potential to be on an NFL roster. So I know it's just picking for pick's sake, because a lot of times it's like same thing with your fantasy, right? It's like, who's left to complete my roster? And you have to use the pick. I don't think I degrade players in that manner, because they have that many talented players right now. We're seeing it all across the board in every sport. That South Dakota is drafting people. Like, it's not just reserved for big five. Like, it's all over the country. So for me, it's the pride and joy of being able to say, hell yeah, this team believes in me. That boosts my confidence. It also makes me learn immediately. This is how it works in the NFL. You get into the culture right away. You have to buy into the culture or you're out. You get to work with the best strength trainer in that particular state, most likely, or unless you're in Pennsylvania, it's a toss-up between the two teams. You get to work with the best football coach in that state, unless Alabama had a pro team, which they don't. So there's a lot of advantages that you have the immediate benefit of being in the culture, and then you get to decide right then and there, do I want this or not? Yeah, like Trey said, you might be behind a Hall of Famer, but anything can happen in this game, and we know that. At any time, you got to be ready to step up in the NFL. It's a league of attrition more than any other sport in the world.
Injuries happen more often than not, and to all your points, I mean, realistically, no matter if you're undrafted or a seventh-round pick, I mean, we saw it this year with Brock Purdy leading the 49ers, who will now be probably the day one starter for the 49ers. So
yeah, but if you're undrafted, you don't have to wait.
He's hurt. He should be, but
you don't have to wait. Correct.
They sign 20 minutes later when you're undrafted.
Correct. But I feel like with a longer season, there, I think and we talk about this all the time. With a longer season, we're going to have a lot more injuries. With the guys being more powerful, more stronger, more everything. Let's be realistic. TJ Watt, he's been in the league. He's been a dominant player. I'm not disregarding him. But how many seasons has he been able to complete? Has he completed more than one? Or has he been hurt? You know, he got hurt this year, and I feel bad for y'all because I love TJ Watt. I love watching him play. But has he been hurt more than he has been, on the field? And that's obviously I don't know because I'm not looking at his stats, and you'll probably tell me he probably has been on the field more. But I'm just saying, like, that could happen, right? TJ Watt goes down, all of a sudden this undrafted or seventh rounder comes in, boom. He takes his job. He ends up getting 20 sacks that season. Boom. He's now probably got TJ Watt's job, and now he's the new starting DN for you guys. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, yeah, you can definitely make it either way. I just like having the destiny control of that, because even if I hypothetically say I don't think TJ Watt's going to be healthy, now I can go target that spot versus me having to wait for it. Okay, we just made a joke a few minutes ago, and I hate to say it, but what did we say? Odell be out in week 4. I was undrafted receiver. Hell yeah, I'll go play for the Ravens. I know Odell.
I would, because Lamar ain't throwing me the down ball.
Well, I mean, yeah. So I guess
I end up being his only option, though.
But you're the only option.
But he runs it more than
anything. The ball.
Ain't nobody else throw the ball too. But you know you're gonna get the ball there.
Only one person's getting that ball, Trey. Mark Andrews. He's getting it 75% of the time. That's what we know about that.
Andrews.
Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, I think that was good. I mean, I think we got. Would you rather? We got 2 and 2. All good points. I mean, ultimately, I want to be. I mean, I don't think it matters.
I'll just be in the league. That's fine.
I don't think it matters. It's just you got to make the most of your opportunity, as everyone says. Like, and a lot of these guys did that were undrafted that you were saying are Hall of Famers. So it's not unpredictable, right? So since it is Cinco de Mayo, I figure we'll give a little break here. Cinco de Mayo tomorrow. Mr. Trey Day came up with a great way to bring in Cinco de Mayo with our Cinco. What was it? Cinco best athletes that wear number 5.
Cinco de athlete.
Cinco de athlete is what we call it.
Cinco de athlete. So
before we start this, right? Let me see if I can predict each one of you guys first. And if I get it right, I start stump the squad with 1 point. If I get it wrong, I get it wrong. But let me see.
Yeah, go ahead.
Be honest with me. Ready?
Wait, you gotta do all 5.
I'm gonna predict who you 3 chose.
Yeah, go ahead.
But we have a list of 5.
No, I thought you said it's your best.
No, it's just
best number
our
5.
favorite athlete to wear
Who's
5.
Your favorite number 5.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Go for it.
So you're Donovan McNabb up in the top. You're Joe DiMaggio,
that's not
Mr.
fair.
Yankee over there. And Trey, you're probably big shot Bobby Robert Orr.
Yep, you're all gonna me.
I'm wrong about you?
You're wrong on me.
All right, so I don't get the bonus point. Am I right about you two?
No.
No? Mike?
No, you're wrong on me, I'm saying.
Am I right on you, Mike?
I guess I'll start. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I had kind of three in my head.
Yeah.
Which was, I guess, if we're definitely going all time, I'll go Joe DiMaggio because baseball is my favorite sport. Yankees are my favorite, and he's the retired number 5. He's a great player, hit streak, all that. I also had Dan Girardi for the Rangers. He wore number 5, and then currently it's Kayvon Thibodeau of the New York Football Giants.
Nice.
Thibodeau. But yeah, no, I think it's, for me, it's Joe DiMaggio just because I love the Yankees so much.
So I had a feeling Grandpa Jay was going to throw a twist on this, so I changed my number 1, and I put Mr. Nick Lidstrom.
Nick Lidstrom. All right, nice pick.
The greatest defenseman of all time. And number 2 was Donovan. I had Donovan at number 1, but I was talking to Trey earlier. I was like, I got to change it up. I feel like Grandpa Jay's going to come out with something that he wants to be a little guess. But I thought it was fine. I have a list. I wish I could share my screen, but I have like a list of like 13 people.
Just say your 5. Who's your top 5?
I got Donovan, Joe DiMaggio, Nick Lidstrom, Jason Kidd, Josh Pace of Syracuse's 2003 Nationals championship team.
Yeah.
The Fab Five and Jalen Rose. Albert Pujols and Freddie Freeman.
Trey, who you got?
Mine? I went Jason Kidd.
Nice.
So, yeah, I love it. Point guard, controls the game. He modeled his game after one of my favorite athletes ever, Magic Johnson. The reason he wore number 5 was because 3 + 2 = 5. Magic wearing number 32. So he wore 5 in those Nets years, which was his best years going to the NBA Finals. And I remember those Nets. They were great teams. Best contribution they made was when they lost to the Lakers in the championship. Great job. So I'll never forget number 5 with Jason Kidd handing us that championship. But no, in all seriousness, I did enjoy Jason Kidd wearing number 5. Honorable mention that wasn't thrown out there. And I guess I look at him as 21 first, but KG wore 5 with the Celtics.
Yep.
That's true.
Too.
Yeah, for the Celtics.
Yeah, so that's another honorable mention.
I just remember him as 21, though.
Like, but 21 is always where I'm going to see him as. But 5 with Celtics is a good one. But Jay, what do you got?
So, Grandpa Jay, what you got? No, I'm saying
so
what
I actually chose. I boiled it down to Jason Kidd as my top, more because as a kid, I loved his game so much. Like I wanted to model my game after him because of his court vision. Nobody saw the court like him. And then when Steve Nash came about, I'm like, oh, it's Jason Kidd all over again. This is nuts. But he was more of an animal to me when he was in Dallas. In his young years, he was vicious, man. Defensively, he was a dog. Like, he played bigger than anybody in the league for his size. I was truly happy for him when he got his ring, when he went back to Dallas. John, I know you didn't like, the scenario because they beat the Heat, but I was really happy for him that he got his ring. That was pretty awesome to see that. His best years for sure were in New Jersey with the Nets, but there is an honorable mention for me in the one Mr. Zinedine Zidane from France, who was—
I knew there would be a soccer player.
He was a magician. Like, he did things that made you marvel. And I am not a Real Madrid fan. I probably like Real Madrid is up there with like teams you want to hate, right? Like people who hate the Yankees the same way they hate Real Madrid if you're not a fan. But you had to marvel at how wonderful his game was. He made it fun to watch. And the biggest thing to me was in the World Cup when he went ahead and just headbutt, and you see his street side came out and they sent him off the field and France still won the World Cup. I'm like, you know what? Sometimes a leader does things in mysterious ways. And his tempo got the best of him, but his entire team got fired up after that. They're like, we have to win for Zinedine. Like, we can't lose this World Cup now. He made a dumb choice, but we still have to win it for him. A true magician. Both of them were magicians. So I'm going with two magicians with Kidd and Zinedine Zidane. But Jason Kidd, he takes the crown for me, really, because I grew up admiring his game so much. I wanted to be Jason Kidd. And everybody was like, Kobe and everything else. I'm like, I want to be Jason Kidd.
Jason.
No, not that. The way he saw the court. The way he saw the game.
It's unfortunate that Zidane's career for a lot of younger fans and people that like only really like myself, honestly, that really usually only watch it when it's the World Cup time. His career is kind of part of his career is kind of forgotten by that headbutt. Like that's the main memory a lot of people have from him. It's unfortunate because I do know I went back and watched like some of his highlights, and he's a phenomenal player.
Sick.
Well, that was Cinco de Athlete for Cinco de Mayo tomorrow. So brought in, we have Trey with Jason Kidd, and no, you didn't have Jason Kidd, did you?
I Jason Kidd, yeah.
Jason Kidd, Dream Pajay. I had Nicholas Lidstrom, and Mike had Joe DiMaggio with the history.
DiMaggio.
Well, as we talk about basketball, gentlemen, we have a very interesting NBA playoffs going on right now. But something that, always asks us a question here is the NBA regular season devalued by so many lower seeds moving on? Trey, I'm going to throw it over to you, our resident NBA watcher, fan.
Take him to the block.
Analyst.
So,
guy.
So for me, no. For I think the average fan, I would say, yeah. I'm going to watch the NBA regardless. And you can throw some 8-year-olds out there, and I'm going to watch hoops because I just want to watch people hoop. I got hoops on right now at the corner of my eye. But at the end of the day, I think where it throws it down is because you start to get these lower seeds in, and then people say, well, what's the value of the regular season when you start to watch? I mean, right now we got a 6 playing a 7 on the screen. Mm-hmm. So while these two teams may have been better than some of those teams, it does take away from something when Andrew Wiggins can miss that much time, walk right out, and the Warriors just snap back into form, and then they're going deeper in the playoffs. Right. I think for people get mad about load management in general, but this type of stuff is why people load manage. Jimmy Butler load manages all the time. And look at this man a month ago and look at that man right now. He is two different guys. If there's ever a case for load management, it's when you see things like that. I mean, it's a side note, but I really go back and I blame actually the 2016 Warriors for why the regular season got devalued. Or I should blame the fans, I should say, for that. Because what happened is, including me, we all got these jokes off from the Warriors. Oh, they're 73 wins. They didn't even win a championship. So after that, what did the regular season mean? People stopped caring. People were like, what is it? What good did that do? They didn't win a championship. We made jokes. I mean, LeBron never put a 73-9 on caskets. Like, we were just making fun of it. And now it's a realistic chance, looking at the Warriors and Lakers play, that we might get a 6 or 7 seed in NBA Finals. We got the East over here with an 8 playing a 5. So, yeah, what the hell did it mean for the Bucks to go out here and win all those games if they asked at home and they fired their coach today?
That shocked the hell out of me. What a stupid move, because somebody's going to pick him up and be instantly better.
Instantly better. Yeah, I'm not worried for him.
Yeah, if that's his want. But I think the biggest thing when this question came about is what?
You got fired. That's not his want. You got fired.
Well, no, I'm saying, like, if it's his want to get a head coaching job after this, I'm saying.
He should.
There's been a lot of reports that came out immediately that said that he may go and be an analyst for a year and then just take a year off, or kind of like Nick Nurse and whatnot. But, it's early, right? I mean, it just happened about 4 or 5 hours ago. Yeah. One of the things I think about when I think about the NBA playoffs and people keep saying stuff like this, do we devalue the regular season? Well, this is what we keep saying in March Madness is like March Madness is one and done. If they played a series, Purdue would have beat FAU probably 9 out of 10 times, right? So when we look at this is a series. A lot of these games have gone to 7, and these are the best athletes in the world. So I don't think it devalues the regular season. I just think his team's starting to step up, and they're just not playing their best basketball right now, or they're worn out, right? It goes back to Trey's point. The load management, is it necessary? I don't think so, because at the end of the day, you're playing a professional sport for a living. So, it's hard. It's time to go, right? Like I don't hold anybody's hand in this scenario to say, hey, it's the playoffs. I'm sorry, you got a little bumps and bruise. No, you fucking play, bro. Like, come on, get your ass out there and go. Like, I get it, like you have some injuries and shit, but there's a guy that took a puck off the freaking face tonight in the NHL game. He was back on the ice for the third period. I understand that it's a different sports contact and stuff, but you got to play, man. So if you don't play, like Kawhi didn't play in that series, that's disrespectful in my opinion of that team. So you should just boot the guy, like, in my opinion. So does it devalue the regular season? No, because I like watching some NBA in the regular season. There's some great matchups during the year. And, like, when we had at one point, I think we had a rematch of the Suns and Nuggets at one point. It was a great game. I think it went down to the wire, and now we're seeing it again in the playoffs. So I just think it's a better matchup. So it's either like just play. I feel like a lot of guys are sitting out. Not because of the big injuries, but just because I feel like they can play, but teams are like, no, we don't want to play you right yet. Or if it's like Kawhi Leonard, he has a torn meniscus, you can still play, bro. Like I know you don't like you're 33 years old, you can still play through a torn meniscus. I don't know. That's my thoughts on it. But Grandpa Jay, what you think?
Well, first of all, how dare you insult the Cinderella and Fairleigh Dickinson? Get it right. It wasn't FAU. It was Fairleigh Dickinson.
Oh, Fairleigh Dickinson. Yeah, that's right. Well, FAU had a big upset too.
All right. Listen, Trey, to your point, I actually go the opposite way. I think the average NBA fan is enjoying what's happening now because we get a LeBron-Steph rivalry reignited as opposed to a Memphis-Sacramento series. Like the average fan's not going to tune into that. Same thing if you're an old school fan like me. I'm getting Knicks Heat, which is what I grew up in, loving the rivalry and loving the intensity of that rivalry. That Milwaukee Knicks doesn't have that same appeal to me, right? Even though they have more star players on the court, if you want to think of it that way. But I feel like the regular season can't be devalued because they've created rivalries in the NBA. That's why they do the things they do. They create the villain with Brooks, and they created this villain mentality that then carried into the playoffs. They did it with Pat Beverly. They always try and schedule Christmas Day games that feel like a mini NBA playoff sort of scenario, right? It's like you're trying to give us the best games. Unfortunately, because of load management and injuries, we're not getting the star appeal, and we're not getting what we hope is what we want on Christmas Day, which is the best possible basketball you can give us at that point in the season. So I don't think that the regular season it can be divided at this point, mainly because we're not seeing a big four dominating like we did in Golden State's era and LeBron's time with Miami, where you're almost guaranteed no matter what seed, they could be a 4, a 3, a 2, a 6, they're going to meet in the finals. Now we don't know. So that's what makes the regular season fun. It's like, who's going to get what seed and can they hold home court? Sacramento couldn't. Some of the teams didn't. The Bucks couldn't. Injuries, whatever. But it makes it more fun in the sense that like the regular season is playing out for you to get a feel of, hey, can this team really dominate or not? And in my mind, I kept saying like, I don't know who I'm going to choose in either conference as a dominant team, which made the regular season more fun for me because I had to keep watching more basketball because it wasn't already asphyxiated. Like it don't matter. It's going to be LeBron's team and Steph's team. You know what I mean? So it's made the regular season more exciting for me now. It's too unpredictable. So I have to watch more basketball to get a feel of who I might think is going to be the dominant team or dominant players in the playoffs.
100%, Jay. I mean, I agree with you. And I think it goes back to our point we've been saying for months now is that there's a lot of parity in the NBA, which makes the regular season even more fun to watch because you build up these rivalries and you can kind of see what team has depth, right? Like the Suns getting rid of those key guys. It's showing in the playoffs now, right? So I agree with you. I think it plays critical. Mike,
they hate Luka when he goes back to Phoenix now because he just made them look silly all on his own. When he goes back to Phoenix, the Phoenix fans are booing him. All of a sudden, you have this great rivalry. Luka didn't ask for it, but he's like, fine, you know what? I'll ball out every time I have a game in Phoenix. That's perfect for us. Okay, I'll watch that game. Maybe I wouldn't have because now they've created a scenario where we get the best basketball out of Luka if he's playing the game. So I feel like it's done that for us.
But that's where the hard point is because it's if they're playing the game.
Yes.
Am I as incentivized to play the game if I know I could be an 8 seed and probably beat this 1 seed, or do I just save it in? And that's where I get more worried about this. I do enjoy this more parity. I do think it's more of a toss-up. I'm more happy that the Lakers are playing the Warriors because that's more interesting. Yep. But at the same time, if I'm the Lakers and Warriors, why do I care about this game in December if I know I can beat that team anyway as we get to the playoffs? If anything, like I said, Jimmy Butler is a prime example right now because that dude right now, and he's hurt again, fluke injury, turned ankle, but that dude is fresher right now than a lot of dudes because he be chilling in the regular season. So that's
like you were saying, I guess the question should be, does home court advantage mean more? Because if they're just willing to take the AC and move on, does home court advantage mean more?
Before we go to Mike here, because I like Mike's take on it. Right now we're tied at 40-40 with 7 minutes to go in the second. We got a good game on our hands.
Yeah, it's a good game with it.
Yeah, I'm watching it on YouTube TV right now. But Mike, what's your take on it?
So also an update, the Florida Panthers took game 2 3-2 over the Maple Leafs. They go back to Toronto, a 2-0 series lead. Florida. That sounds familiar. Anyway,
Florida. Yeah.
Florida, whatever.
Mike's still stuck in his time zone. Where am I? What time am I? I don't know where.
I don't know where I am. So for me, I am at about the exact opposite end of the spectrum as Trey's on, in that I don't find the NBA regular season entertaining whatsoever. Personally, I find the high school games that I work up here in Rochester more entertaining.
He's the exact reason why I said devalue for what he's saying.
But that's the thing. I'm not a big NBA fan. It's a league of individuals, not teams now, in my opinion. But I think for the average NBA fan that likes NBA basketball way more than I do, I don't think it is devalued, because going into next year, it's showing the parity that we always talk about that the NBA has, and it makes these matchups more valued. Now, this is all aside from load management, because I agree with you guys. I think load management is BS, and I don't think you need it. But I do understand the point from their perspective, where why do I need to play this game if I know that I can be rested for the playoffs and beat them anyway? So, which is kind of dumb. Hopefully if they do this midseason tournament thing that they're going to do right, that will kind of change that a little bit. However, I don't think it's devalued simply because it is the league being able to show off that even the lower seeds have a lot of talent and are good teams. They just went through injuries or a tough losing streak or whatever, and that's why they're sitting, in that 8 to 10 spot, or even like 6 to 8 spot, things like that. Okay. Two kind of combining Trey and Jay's points. In Trey has a big problem that this all changed with the 2016 Warriors setting the NBA wins record and then losing. And to Jay's point of creating, villains that people can root against, what did the Warriors do right after that season? They gave the world a villain for a few years in Kevin Durant.
Yep.
For being a snake, and leaving and going to a team that was already win a title, going and winning 2 titles.
Right.
So I think there's merit to both things. I think it makes being able to show off in the playoffs some lower seeds that have talent, I think helps the regular season for the following year if they play the games.
Now, I do have one attachment to what Mike said there, because Mike said that he feels the game individuals. I would actually say that was the 90s. People don't really play hero ball as much. In the 90s, what you would advertise is Kobe's playing Vince Carter tonight, Jordan's playing this person. We don't really advertise that much anymore. LeBron hasn't played Durant in a game in, I think, over 5 years. I think I read.
Nice.
The other day.
Yeah. So 2018, yeah.
We missed it beating Jokic. And beating Jokic didn't get the showdown the second time that we all were looking for. It's supposed to be an NBA TV Sunday game, and unfortunately we didn't get it because Embiid sat out, which goes with the whole load management injury. But I would say we actually kind of lost that individual thing, and some of the rivalry has left the regular season because a lot of people save it for the playoffs. Now,
I agree because of that.
We waited with the it worked out with the whole Memphis Lakers thing with Shannon Sharp and all these guys wanted to fight. They ended up playing each other. But remember, the Warriors had beef with the Grizzlies, and during the season, that game didn't get as hyped up as it was supposed to be from last year's playoffs because certain key players weren't there, which to me made it, feel less valuable. We don't really get the, I wish we had Jokic and Embiid as this big deal when they play and all that. We lost that in the NBA, which is okay because I do think they're more team-based, if anything, at this point.
Yeah, because the biggest thing for this playoffs for the Lakers and the Warriors has been Lakers and Warriors, not Steph versus LeBron. I've barely heard that. I've heard about, what kind of contributions are Steph going to bring and what kind of contributions is LeBron going to play? Like, how many games is he going to play? Like, we have our beautiful Brian Windhorst coming in and saying, they can't manage these games. They can't do this. They can't come out and play more games like this. No. Can't do it.
And then you have two Kentucky dogs in AD and Jared Vanderbilt, who's now Mr. Shutdown on Steph Curry, being
really
the series. Kentucky basketball. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be an interesting moving forward. I just think that, Trey and I have said this many times. I think they should shorten the NBA season, make it more competitive, make it more tougher.
Well, they're about to put a mid-season playoff in the Bahamas, so like it was the bubble. So we'll see how that goes.
I'm completely against this mid-season tournament.
I'll get it in. I got to make it longer, tougher, much more competitive.
Here's the thing. In the midseason tournament,
I had to.
In the midseason tournament, if your superstar is out for management, your team forfeits automatically. Like
right?
You have to play
if your guys don't play, right?
You have to play. If your superstars are healthy, you don't want to play them, you forfeit.
You know how it's going. It's going to be an extended break. It's going to be all-star break.
What I mean, and everybody's going to want to not play. They're going to want to play the bench guys.
They're not. Yeah,
they're going to justify why they want to play the bench guys.
Right.
Well, we appreciate everyone's tuning in as late as they have. We have a lot to talk about. We had the draft last week, so we have a lot of good topics to talk about this week. Moving on to our final topic before Stump the Squad, we have the Boston Bruins have fatally taken an exit out to the first round to the Florida Panthers. So President Trophy woes. The President Trophy has not won the Stanley Cup since 2014, Mike?
13.
13.
It was 2/3
Chicago Blackhawks.
Trey's on it.
What do you
Bruins in 2013?
Ironically,
been 2 times in the last 20 years.
So, I guess the question is, why is number 1 seed? Because ironically, the Panthers were the number 1 seed last year and got bounced by Jamie and my Tampa Bay Lightning in 4. So what is it? What is about being number 1 in this particular sport that plays a curse? Mikey Mike?
So for me, it's just the grind of what hockey is. Yeah. And I think it has a lot to do with the push, especially this year with the Bruins in particular. It's the push to stay the best team in the league. There's more pressure. There's more physicality. There's more physicality from the teams playing you to knock you off. There's more of it's like, so going into this year, especially for the Bruins, looking at in a microcosm of this year, the Bruins set records for the regular season. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of pressure on them to do so once they hit the last month of the year because they were on track to do it. So it's like, okay, now you've got to do it. Be the best team in the league. You then enter the playoffs and like, okay, cool. We set all these records. Florida's got nothing to lose. They're barely supposed to be here, let alone, I mean, they're in a group of a bunch of other teams that were contending for one of the final spots in the playoffs. So Florida's playing loose and just playing their style. Boston's got all the pressure on them. You're the President's Trophy team. I think it's overall the President's Trophy team comes into the playoffs with the most pressure because they are the best team. So you're supposed to win. Conventional wisdom says the best team is supposed to win.
And they drew the worst matchup because the Panthers came in there.
The matchup was terrible
the year before, and they were like, "We know exactly how you feel. We know exactly
how to beat you, right?
So we know what to do to beat you."
And the Panthers were better than last year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Better team overall. My biggest thing that lost this series was coaching. I don't care.
Oh, yeah.
You have a 40-win goaltender, a guy who has been your anchor, your rock all year long, and you sit him in Game 7. I don't understand that. That's what lost them the game. Jeremy Swayman is a great goaltender. I think he's a potential starter in any other team, but you pull him, and I don't even know the whole backstory. I got some comments on my post saying that Allmark said he was a little hurt and stuff like that. It's like, okay, if he really was hurt and said he couldn't go, then okay. But if it was the coach's decision, I don't understand that. He gave up a few bad goals in Game 6, but like you rock with what you got there, So
is it more admirable for a player to admit his shortcomings and sacrifice playing in possibly one of the biggest games of his career? Or is he backing out of the moment based on maybe a little bit of fear that he can't be at 100%? Like, do you think that was a good move as a teammate? As opposed to coaching?
Depends on how bad it is.
It's tough. It really is because it depends on what type of player you are, too. Yeah. Are you a player to fight through and whatnot? Like, those type of players are very rare, right? Those are the great players, right?
But if he knows, like, his groin is tweaked, and he's like, look, this is going to affect the way I play this game tremendously because I need to be moving laterally and be 100% prepared to take something out of the air, moving at 100 miles per hour. And my guy who's backing me up has a better chance of doing it tonight. I see that as being a great teammate and sacrificing a moment that could be a shining moment of your career. You solidified yourself as a goalie who could cap a Game 7 and push your team into that next level of let's get this Stanley Cup. So I don't know the extent either, but if he made that move, like pat on the back, like I wouldn't. I
haven't heard anything since then. But if it was, then I mean, if he really couldn't go, and if a goalie can't go, he's not going to. But I don't know. It's for me, it was like if that was a coaching move, what a dumb coaching move, right? Like, guy wins you 40 games, and then you sit him on the bench in the most important one. That's not. I don't care what happened in Game 6. It goes back to like Cooper trying to take Vasilevsky out. That's the only time I get it, right? Like if they're getting peppered and they're getting like 7 goals straight in them in the middle of a game, okay, you take them out. But you start with who you started with. Trey, I'm interested to hear your take on this.
Honestly, I agree a lot with what Mike said there because I think that pressure, it adds up. I mean, you're coming in, you are the hunter. You're not the hunter, everybody's hunting you. So I think that it comes into play. And the other thing is, I guess I liken this to basketball to go back to what we were saying with the 2016 Warriors. There's a lot of groove and it takes a lot out of you to be the team all year to setting records. So while they're at game 40, exerting a certain amount of energy, maybe the other team isn't. Then you get to the playoffs, maybe the other team catches that right hot streak, and before you know it, you're gone and you're bounced. And I think that's probably what is happening. But in a particular year like this, where you have the Bruins as a team that's setting records, I think it takes so much out of you. And I think that's what happened by the time they get here. So maybe that groin injury, maybe it already was starting to happen earlier, but we got to set this record. So maybe back in game 65, he was starting to feel it, but we're going to keep pushing because this record needs to be set. And now you're a little too burned out when it's actually the most important time, which is not a playoff.
Out of gas.
Now we know in 4 other sports, perfection may be what ultimately takes the team down because it's not about winning the championship. It's about being perfect. In the case of the New England Patriots, in the case of the Kentucky Wildcats in 2014, when they 38-0 going into the Final Four, in the case of the Seattle Mariners, 116 wins, and then it happened again to the Warriors. It's not an uncommon thing in sports, and that's why all of you make great points where the pressure mounts on you because it's not about just winning a title, but every other team, it's just about winning the title. For you, it's matching this unprecedented run in a particular year that has to culminate. It's a failure if it doesn't culminate. That is so much pressure. I can't imagine having to play with that kind of pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel, you're better off being a middle of the pack type team who's not even worried about being there, right? Like the Kraken were at the bottom of the NHL last year.
Flap those wings.
And then them devils up in New Jersey taking out that powerhouse up in
not just came off his face.
Why? It's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. We went over this. I had a terrible Monday. Okay.
It was a cherry on top of your Monday.
It was the poisoned cherry on top. Yes. It was the rotten infected cherry on top of my terrible Monday.
Well, the cherry to end our show is always going to be Stomp the Squad.
Let's do it, gentlemen. Let's go.
Come on, guys. I need some more energy after that. I'm going to say it again. To end our show, we have Stomp the Squad.
Yeah, boy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for tuning in. We haven't had any Uncle Mike's or any comments from Cousin Jay or Cousin G.
Oh, we actually have some comments.
I don't have the families in the house tonight. Hopefully, they're still playing along with us. If you guys know what time it is, it's our favorite time of the show. This is Stump the Squad, where we get to ask each other questions. Any sports trivia we could think of, we pretend not to know the answer just so you feel great about yourself. 2 points for every right answer. If you get a wrong answer, -2. Person with the most points at the end gets the rant of the week. And in honor of Trey Day being here, I'd like to hear how Trey Day plans to stump us this evening. Take it away, Trey.
Okay, so it's basketball season. So in honor of basketball season, we'll do a basketball question. But in particular, I want to shout out the New York Knicks. So we're going to do a Knicks trivia question. We're actually going to shout those guys out. It's been crazy energy. It's felt like the 90s up there in the Garden.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to take this back. We're going to go back further than the 90s, though, with this one. And it also, to keep up with our theme, of people playing through injuries.
Nice.
So, during the 1970s postseason, there was a particular game where Willis Reed was injured, and he re-energized the crowd by coming back into the Garden and finishing the game off, which the Knicks ended up winning in a victory. And that is one of the most legendary NBA games. What a lot of people don't know is how many points did Willis Reed score when he came back. So, A, 16 points, B, 0 points, C, 4 points, or D, 12 points?
0.
4.
So when he came back out of the locker room, you're saying how many points did he score when he came back out on the court in that game?
Yeah.
0.
All right, and say all 4 again, 18 or 16.
So we're going to go 16, 0, 4, or 12.
Saddle. Mike says 4.
May the 4 be with you.
May the 4th be with you for Mike.
As a Star Wars fan, I must.
I'm going to go with 12.
So, there were some stumping here. Today, we were able to stump everybody except for Mike.
Let's go. Resident Knicks fan. Sort of.
Sort of.
Yes, he says that now after he says, I don't watch it.
Resident playoff Knicks fan.
I hate the regular season.
I hate NBA. Resident Knicks fan.
Most people just see the picture of him come out the locker room, but most people don't know what actually happened other than the Knicks winning. Nobody really knows what Willis Reed did in that game.
One by the name of Phil Jackson was on that team.
Yes, all right, Mike. With a mustache. Let us not forget the mustache and the afro.
Mike, you're up.
Yay. Well, guys, I'm going to take us all the way back to a week ago.
Awesome.
The NFL draft.
Wow.
Who was the first Mr. Irrelevant to appear in the Super Bowl? Kelvin Kirk, Marty Moore, Jim Finn, or Ryan Suckup?
Marty Moore.
Ryan Suckup.
I'm going Ryan Suckup.
Okay, so we got 2 Ryan Suckups and a Marty Moore.
Marty Moore me.
There has also been some stumping happening. And that is we stumped everyone except Jay.
Yes, sir.
It was Marty Moore. Super Bowl 31 with the New England Patriots.
Yes, sir.
And you know I had to mix my boy Jim Finn in there, fullback for the New York Giants.
Oh, Jesus.
He did, and I can tell you as a Giants fan, he did
that's enough.
Nothing. Yes, we're getting it right. Jay can go next.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Mike.
Just like Trey, I'm going to take us onto the hardwood. It is basketball season for me. Even though I am a big fan of playoff hockey more than ever in these past couple of years. But here's a fun fact. Every NBA franchise has played in at least one Game 7. The Warriors advanced with a historic performance from Steph Curry, as we know last Sunday, dropping 50 on the Sacramento Kings. But of the 146 Game 7s that have been played, can you tell me how many road teams have gone on to win the series?
Oh, God.
Is it 40, 35, 33, or 30?
Can you say that?
How many times has the road team gone on to win of the 146 Game 7s? How many times has the road team gone on to win the series?
35.
40, 35, 33, or 30?
Lock it
33.
33.
Yeah, that's what that was the number that popped in my head.
30 what, Mike? 30 or
35?
35 for Mike. What you got, John?
I 33.
33 for John.
Yeah, it popped in my head when I closed my eyes.
I have successfully stumped John and Trey. It is 35 times, thanks to the Warriors' recent win.
No, never mind.
At 33. Yeah.
That the road team has gone on. So the road team is 35 and 111.
All right, well, I'm done.
Rough.
Trey's done. And it's up to Mike and Grandpa Jay to get my question either right or wrong.
You're going down, boy.
Okay.
Mine's about to. I'm going to the ice. And
why didn't you ask a baseball question? Damn it.
Because
he's cold as ice.
It's too hard for me to find between basketball. I went to hockey, and so how often is a ring removed from the Stanley Cup to make space for new names?
Oh my God! I heard this years ago. I heard this.
17, 13, 15, or 14.
I don't understand. How often is it removed? 14. What's the unit? 14. What? 15. What units are we talking here?
Years. Sorry.
There's only so many rings on the cup.
Hold on. I'll repeat the question. How often is a ring removed from the Stanley Cup to make space for new names in years? So it'll be 17, 15, 13, or 14.
I'm out, but my guess is 13.
Trey is 13. Mike?
There must be a winner. I'm going to ride or die with my mom's birthday number. Give me 17.
Jamie?
Do not choose Mike. 17. Mike. Make it interesting.
I will make it interesting. I'm trying to remember. You know,
3.
There's no countdown. There's no countdown.
2.
I'm gonna go. I actually think Trey's right. I think it's 13.
Okay. And I've successfully stumped Jamie.
Damn it.
It is 13 years. God damn it.
I always get the hockey questions right.
I was hoping you would help me out here, Mama.
So disappointed.
Well, you asked the worst questions.
That was the best question. What are you talking about? That's
a good question.
A rink removed.
A good question.
It's a stupid question.
I never even knew it was removed.
It's not even a sports question. That's like a
how is that not? How is the Stanley Cup
arena management
question?
That's like an infrastructural arena management question. It's like how many
if you ask an infrastructural arena question,
oh my God,
I am going to come at you.
Anyway, it's Mike's rant.
No, wait, hold on. Before Mike gets into his rant, Jamie, you heard rink?
Yeah.
It's ring.
Oh.
On the cup.
Oh.
There's only so many rings on the cup.
Oh, I completely didn't know. Okay. I was so off on that. I didn't hear the question right.
How many rings do they how often do they remove the rings?
A ring
on the cup, because the cup never gets any taller. It just
I was way off on that question. Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Well,
yeah.
Mike's, go ahead with your
New York accent threw me off.
Yay. New York accent.
So I was like, this question makes no sense, but okay, let me answer.
It makes complete sense. Because, you think about it, I thought about this last year.
Now it does, because I knew you were talking about the trophy. I thought you were talking about the arena itself. I was like, what the question is that?
Me head.
Okay, I guess there is a stat for that.
Okay, so for Mike's rant of the week, Mike is actually going to have one of the first rants that we've had in a long time on this segment, which is New York Yankees. What are you doing? This is the first time you've been alone in last place in the AL East since June of 2016. You are the New York Yankees. You do not lose. You do not finish in last place. This is not the 80s or early 90s. We win. We go for 28. We make the playoffs, and we push. I don't care about injuries. I don't care about AAA players, bench players. You're New York Yankees. You win. You goddamn win when you touch that field. All right? Now, everybody get healthy, because apparently your replacements can't get it done. So
somehow you have a winning record up until this weekend.
It's because they won the first 7 series and then haven't won one since.
There's the line, and you just pushed it.
You're waiting for it?
I was waiting for it.
If I have to cram the wins up your ass with my foot.
If everyone doesn't know, that is Coach Hines.
Coach Hines. Yes, go watch.
And Coach Mike. Coach Mike. But yes, Mike is Week 57 champion. We had a lot of great topics tonight, everyone. any final thoughts before we head into this great playoff weekend?
Yeah, for sure. Arsenal fans, it's been a great year. I'm so sorry. Man City has taken and leaped Arsenal for the first time this year with only 3 games to go. And Arsenal fans can only hope for a meltdown, which will not happen. It was a good year. Enjoy second place.
Oh, God.
And my final thoughts are, how about them cracking them Avalanche?
Cracking on.
Send them Avalanche home. Come on, boys.
Cracking.
My final thoughts, Anthony Davis, get your fucking shit together. 4 fucking points in the first half. Get this shit together.
You knew it wasn't sustainable for 2 games in a row. Come on.
At 4.
What does LeBron have? 25 though?
Yes, 21 right now.
Yeah.
AD, get your shit together. Stop letting that old man carry the team. At this point, 4 points. Do better.
May the 4 not be with you, Anthony.
Be better.
I want this to go to 7.
Thanks for watching and supporting us, everybody. We really enjoy it. We're Cinco Squad. We're here to talk sports and have fun, and we appreciate everybody out there for all the love and support you showed us both each week, and especially last week when we were live at remote Maloney's. It was a very good time. Despite the weather, we had a great time, and we love the support. So thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Yes, sir.
All the socials. Link tree.
We got right here. Boom, boom, down there. We'll see you next week for week 58 of Cinco Squad. See you next week, guys.
Let's do big for you.